Hey guys, Heavy Homes 45 here. Now, it's February, which means it's Black History Month. And with it being Black History Month, we gotta talk about something black. I know last year I didn't do it. That's because I was not sure of what I wanted to do. At one point I had a video talking about Bill Cosby, then I had one about R. Kelly, and I was like, this stuff is too hot. I can't talk about it right now. But this month, I'm gonna go back a little bit. I ain't talking about them. I'm gonna try and focus on one particular person slash character in this conversation, and that is, well, first of all, I don't know if you've seen the show American Gods, but you should know who I'm talking about because there's only about four gods that we see in the TV show. And the one that I'm going to talk about is the famous Mr. Nancy, also known as his real name, Anansi. Anansi is a African god who, as I understand, is supposed to be the god of illusion. But what I'm going to talk about today is not just Anansi, but the person who played him, who is Orlando Jones. Now, I've been following Orlando Jones somewhat since Mad TV. You are now watching Mad TV. Mad. You know, I watched, back when he was on there and the woman who plays Lois on Family Guy was on there as Miss Swan and some other people. Um, I used to love watching Mad TV, but I watched him in that. Then I wasn't sure about it, but then I saw him in Drumline where he was talking about one band, one sound. You know that. I was like him being serious. I was so used to him being a comedian all the time. Then I remember seeing him in a movie with Eddie Griffith where they switched places, and that one was different. But you know, Orlando Jones has been working. Whew. One of my favorite ones is watching him going back to comedy doing the replacements. I love the replacements. Wish they would have did replacements too. Him, Keanu Reeves, um, the guy who played Wendell in Parenthood. Um, I liked I liked all the characters. I loved watching the replacement, but Anansi is someone that he basically, if I'm understanding right, he was a writer producer of episodes of American Gods. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that Anansi said was stuff that he put in. And Anansi was very pro black in the way uh, Orlando Jones did him. And, he was, like I said, from what I have seen, he was supposedly a guy of illusion. But also, by the way they show him in American Gods, he also a god of war. He's has anger, and it makes sense in a way because I listened to a couple of the stories of Anansi, and Anansi was a person who was very caring for the human race, and particularly the black human race. And that's really the emphasis of his character as Orlando Jones did. He was a character who he cared about his black people. One, the first time you see him is him like a slave, like a uh he wasn't a slave yet, but he was going to be a slave. He was on a slave ship about to go to the new world to be a slave. And in the middle of it, he starts calling Anansi. And Anansi tells him, hey, I can see the future. I can tell you all, they don't screw you over. You know what y'all need to do? Burn this mother sucker down. And that's really what they decided to do. They decided to burn the whole boat down instead of being slaves to those white men. Now I know that's something that Martin Luther King wouldn't agree with, aggression, or, he believed in trying to fight through peace, finding a peaceful resolution of things. Um, Early Malcolm would have been fine with that. But um, he wouldn't have, though, once he came back from Mecca, where his eyes were open to there being several types of Muslims besides the black Muslim that he saw. But going back to the blackness of Anansi, Anansi, his whole character is built on trying to fight for his religion and keep himself alive, which is why he works with Odin, and also his character of just trying to look out for the black man because he wants to make sure that the black man isn't oppressed like he sees the oppression. And that's another video that I'm dealing with Anansi, which I'm gonna get real in detail about that and about a speech that he does. But when it comes to Orlando Jones, a couple months ago, they fired him from American Gods. They fired him because they said that they weren't going to use the character Anansi for this chapter of American Gods. But the weird part of it is, okay, I can understand if you're not going to use it. So we're going to shelf your character for a while as we put some new people in. But the problem is that, like I said before, he was a writer slash producer of some of the episodes, which means he wrote dialogue for some people. He was a character that, like, I'm pretty sure that he might not just wrote just Anansi stuff. If he did, he had to work with other people. But he was a writer. You could have shelved his character without firing him and still let him be a writer. So what was it about this angry black god that you wanted to get rid of? That's a question that I have. Because the character himself, yes, he was angry. But he was angry because of the way he saw America treating black people. And like I said, I am going to get really into his speech on the next one. But, Orlando Jones worked hard for this character. He did everything he could to bring life into this character. Many people that I played the speech that I'm going to talk about next time say that he made that character his own. Like, he did embody Anansi at that moment. And it's powerful, and it's like watching Denzel Washington be Malcolm X. It's when a person fully devotes themselves to a character, they're able to breathe life into their character, bring the same fire that character brought when they said a certain speech or when they stood at a certain spot. You're able to resonate with that person. Even if it's just a regular story, you're able to resonate with that person. And that's true good storytelling. Now, people want to act like Anansi was in Orlando Jones, period, was not essential to the story. But he was like the third most seen character. Well, I'll give him probably, he was in the top 5 characters that you saw on the show. Uh, at times you saw him more than you saw. You saw Shadow Moon's wife or the Leprechaun. You saw they even dedicated more hours in the second season to him than they did in the first season. Because I can say that to me personally, the second season was very pro black. And when you're talking about season 1, you have all that in episode 2 of season 1 that is about Anansi. Just like I said, the boat scene where he's telling the people to burn, and he just walks off a plank and comes to the new world from there. You know, he, what else? When he is making a suit for Shadow Moon and Mr. Wednesday, you know, he had a conversation with them. You know, we have every once time where you go to Leprechaun and Shadow Moon's wife, and it's okay. You have a, it's not a bad story. It's a decent story, but it's not as, in some cases, impactful as when you get to Anansi. Sometimes Anansi, it feels like steal the show, kind of like um, when watching the movie Django Unchained. You know, everybody was talking about how great, well, people around me said how great Jamie Foxx did in the show. And then once you brought in Samuel Jackson, he stole the show with his with his character. And you know, Steven Snowball. Uh and I want to say, yeah, Samuel Jackson really did like show up when he came onto the screen. And he was like literally one of the smartest people in the room when it comes to the villains that you had in that one section. But it was that, like I said, Anansi had a way, or Orlando Jones. Right now, I'll use both of them as the same person, because Orlando Jones, like I said, embodied Anansi at these moments. Um, Anansi was stealing the show from everybody. He even stole the show at times, it seems, from Shadow Moon. And he was always around. Um, like, a lot of stuff wouldn't have gotten done if Anansi wasn't there. When Odin and, when Mr. Wednesday and Shadow Moon were in the prison, the person who let them out wasn't the new gods. It was Anansi. Anansi used his little legs when he transformed to a spider and unlocked the handcuffs. That's what Anansi did. You know, no one can take that away from Anansi. That's what he did. And so if he wasn't there, they would still been in the prison when FBI and everything would have came in. Uh, Anansi was the one who opened the gate when they were going to, I want to say, Wisconsin. Um, and but Anansi was an essential character. They presented his character, like I said, and he was one of the top 5 characters that you saw and you wanted to know more about. Like, my favorite scene is, and it made me laugh, the chicken scene. He's riding with Mr. Wednesday, and Mr. Wednesday's asleep, and he is just driving. He's like, I told him that I was hungry. And you know what he got me? A bucket of fried chicken. And it made me laugh as he picked up one of the chickens by with 2 fingers and threw it out. They threw the whole bucket out the window. And when Mr. Winston woke up, he was like, where is he? Oh, it was just so good. You know, it made me laugh because I have family members that like don't like the stereotype of black people eating fried chicken and watermelon. You know, the racist stuff. You know, some of us might actually like that stuff, but He it's not it's not because we're, as Dave Chappelle said, predisposed to liking it. It's just that it tastes good sometimes. But that doesn't mean that, you know, that's what you eat all the time. But Anansi, Orlando Jones, they did a beautiful job. I don't know why. And you can look on other places on YouTube to see the reason why Orlando Jones thinks that he was let go. And it I would think that it holds water because it would make no sense to say that we're not using your character, so we're letting you go as you are a writer. And I might not be right about the producer, but I know he was a writer. He might have directed one of the episodes or a couple of episodes. So whichever one he did, produce or directed, this guy has actually been uh behind the camera working for y'all, and y'all get rid of a a writer, a director, and a character because you didn't want to use him in next season. And now the question is, how are you going to? Like I said, he is one of the top 5 people. I want to know if when season 3 of American Gods comes, what they're, what happened to Anansi, because Anansi is a very essential character to me. You can't just suddenly say he had a fight. You better say that he's off doing a job and y'all bring him back for season 4 or something. But it's not right to say that you just don't just what character? We didn't know that character was there. You have full episodes full of him in there. Is he just gonna be brought into a word and y'all never going to replace him? I wouldn't want y'all to replace him. Like I said, Anansi was beautifully portrayed by Orlando Jones. He did him the greatest amount of justice you could for a character. And if the only thing he wrote was that character's lines, I'd say that the words that he said were very moving to a particular set of people. And you know exactly what people's is since it's our month. And don't let people make you think that, hey, we don't need this month. It's only been almost 50 years. Well, over 50 years since we gained the right to go to school, with and supposed to have equal education as white people. It hasn't been that long since there was oppression to boys. And I'm not going to say that there's not oppression. There are forms of oppression happening now. And some of us love to lay in the mud. Some of us want to go ahead and rise up. Whichever one you want to do, that's your choice. But make sure you're making the right choice. And next time I'm going to talk about that speech he did. I enjoyed it. I hope you'll enjoy my review of it. And I'll catch you later.